We're here in Washington Square Park, which is magical urban space, bringing joy to hundreds and thousands of New Yorkers and tourists alike. It's a place in which pedestrians move back and forth, enjoying the feel of the city and the feel of greenery. It exists because one of the most important and well-documented political fights of the 20th century happened here. It exists because this is the place in which an extraordinary housewife, Shirley Hayes, stopped the road-building mania of post-war America. It's the place in which Robert Moses's dream of extending Fifth Avenue down to the bottom of Manhattan was stopped by community opposition, and it is in some sense the fulcrum of the arc that moves from an era in which builders did everything without caring about the community to an era in which the community is often too powerful and too able to shut everything down. Over the course of the 18th century, the city moved northward, and in the 1790s, you may recall, New York City experienced a yellow fever epidemic, causing thousands to die. New York City bought this land as a burying ground in 1797 and buried 20,000 people under this spot. The people who jog through and walk through this area, delighting in its pleasures, may not be aware that they're passing over the graves of 20,000 dead New Yorkers. In 1826, the city bought more land, converting it to a parade ground and naming it after America's greatest military hero, George Washington himself. And so we had Washington Square Park, an anchoring amenity that would draw people for the next 2 centuries. And it would become the anchor for urban sprawl of the early 19th century, a place that you could commute to, not by car or by rail, but by horse-drawn omnibus, which started to operate during the 1820s in New York, which enabled people to work downtown and still live far away in this little remote Greenwich village. During the 20th century, automobiles started, and then this New York's whole street grid seemed like as much of a curse as a blessing, right? The narrow streets made it difficult for cars to get around. And what the heck, having a park in the middle of the great northwest artery of Fifth Avenue? To a master road builder like Robert Moses, this seemed like an absolute disaster. And so he picked up a plan for running Fifth Avenue straight down. Now, Moses had earlier earned the ire of Shirley Hayes for building a couple of public high-rise housing projects a little bit further to the south. And Hayes was a sort of extraordinary person. She came to New York to act, to perform. She met her husband while they were both performing bit parts in Leslie Howard's version of Hamlet, playing on Broadway. Then he went into the advertising business, and she became a housewife. They had 4 kids, and she would regularly come to Washington Square Park to enjoy this greenery. During those days, it wasn't as pristine as it is right now. There were buses that would turn around in the park, so Moses wasn't off his rocker proposing this thing being turned into a transportation artery. But that was surely not what Shirley Hayes wanted to have happen. And then she just summoned this amazing amount of social capital and civic energy to stop it. She gathered 16,000 signatures. She brought Eleanor Roosevelt, who had once lived on Washington Square Park, into the equation. And she turned this into a whole great opportunity for community organization and blocking the seemingly indomitable Robert Moses. The City Council of New York, the Board of Estimate, said no to Moses's project, and it was vetoed. And not only that, they went further. They got rid of the buses turning around, transforming this into urban space. And it's urban space that doesn't look neat and monumental. It's crowded, it's bustling, it's always a little bit messy, but that's a sign that it's working. That's a sign that it's doing exactly what you hope urban space to be doing, to enable people to come together and to generally enjoy what it means to be part of a mass of humanity in cities. It's a place that enables freedom, it's a place that enables creativity, and it's a place that New Yorkers and tourists will be grateful for as long as it exists.